Okay, so about a year and a half ago, I did a couple of videos about sociopaths, and since then I've been thinking a lot about the subject and doing a lot of reading and so forth, and that led me to finding a blog online recently on, I believe it's ribbonfarm.com, and basically on this blog it's a gentleman giving an analysis of the TV show The Office in terms of how traditional business models actually work in the real world. And he describes people who start businesses and people who lead businesses as being sociopaths. And by that, he basically means that they are independent moral thinkers. They're leaders. They are, people who are not content to just follow along on someone else's, coattails. They're either starting a business because they are, well, when I say they're independent moral thinkers, basically that can go one of two ways. Either they are looking to start a business or lead a business because they are looking to actually help people and serve, or a morality that they see as being a higher morality basically than mob morality, or they are being leaders in order to be self-serving and in order to gratify themselves or an ego, line their pockets, etc. And I thought that was a pretty interesting analysis, and I had not really thought about sociopaths in terms of being people who are independent moral thinkers and people who are not content to just follow along with the group. And that was pretty interesting to me. I had never really looked at the world in terms of being made up of, leaders and followers, and then there basically being two types of leaders, and then also sort of two types of followers, and those are people who, in terms of business, we have followers who believe in the vision of the business and are really looking to do a good job because they care about growing the business or serving the customers or, what have you. And then there are people who are just looking for a steady paycheck and just looking to put in the minimum amount of effort that they can do in order to keep their jobs. And I was a business major in college and I minored in economics, so that was pretty fascinating to me. And as I was thinking about the world in terms of leaders and followers, it suddenly made sense to me why our country, and I live in the U.S., but as a society, why we're in such a crisis right now. And I think it is simply because mob morality nowadays, because it's undergone such radical changes in the last 100, 200 years, I think it is more and more difficult to discern. And because we've had the sexual revolution, the civil rights movement, and feminism, and you have all these traditional moral ideas that are having to compete with political correctness, more or less. And it isn't to say that I think that they've been negative changes, but it's just, I think that for people who are not independent moral thinkers and are just followers, it's very confusing to them to have the group morality more or less turned on its head. And I think some people are rising to the challenge and starting to make more of their own independent moral decisions and becoming less followers, and then that obviously there's two directions that can go in, a positive and negative, and then I think there are also people who are very confused by the whole thing and are kind of just throwing up their hands and saying, adopting a very, I guess, for lack of a better word, nihilistic attitude that, it's just all bullshit, so you might as well behave in a hedonistic way and be self-serving and not worry about how that's going to affect yourself even or other people in the long run. And I think it only takes, I don't think that type of hedonism that I'm describing is a tremendous number of people, but I don't think that it takes a tremendous number of people having that type of attitude to do a lot of damage. So basically what I wanted to say is that I think that people should try to, and I've said this in other videos and I'll say it again, people need to analyze their moral beliefs and take responsibility for their own moral beliefs. And for the people that can't do that, I guess you really need to choose your leaders carefully and ask yourself, is this person leading me off a cliff? Is this person being self-serving and wanting me to behave in a certain way because they really care about me, or is it because they're really trying to benefit themselves because they're power hungry, etc., etc. And I really think another reason our country is in a crisis is because we have been led off a cliff to a great degree by leaders, economic and government leaders, which really they're kind of one and the same. I believe that we live in a very fascist country that is fascist in operation and the way that it operates. It's pretty clear to me the way that our political system is, how there's only two political parties and really not a lot of competition between ideas. The fact that both parties are very heavily sponsored by big business, that is fascism, people. Whether we have elections or not, I mean, I think, we don't really have leaders, political leaders. We have, business figureheads that sort of humor us every 4 years and pretend that we have a choice. But, they're both pro-drug war. They're both, supportive of the military-industrial complex. A lot of things that are causing big social problems and economic problems in our country. The major political parties, neither one are offering any real solutions to those problems, so that's a big problem. And so really all I can say is I would encourage individuals out there to, like I said, make your own moral choices, choose your leaders wisely. If you don't want to be a leader and you're comfortable in following someone, and just for people that are interested in being more morally independent, just try to set a good example for people. Try to think in terms of, how is this going to affect me and people I know 10 years from now, and not just how is this going to affect me next week or tomorrow or, in the next hour in some cases. I really do think that as bad as things are, that there is hope to turn things around if people stand up and pull together, and if we can create a mob morality that is actually moral and actually is more interested in, long-term goals and compassion and kindness and all of those good things. So, and not just making money and acquiring wealth and power. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say. Thank you for watching my video.